German forces were rising, American lines were collapsing, and in the frozen hell of December 1944, it looked like the United States Army was about to face its greatest defeat since Pearl Harbor. Hitler's final gamble, the Ardennes offensive, hit the Allied front like a hammer. Entire units vanished overnight. Roads jammed with retreating vehicles. Radio networks fell apart. In the white silence of the Belgian forest, German armor pushed through the snow like a tidal wave of steel. American commanders were stunned. No one had predicted the scale, the speed, or the brutality of the attack. No one, except one man, General George S. Patton Jr. While most Allied leaders believed the Germans were too weak, too exhausted to launch a major offensive, Patton didn't trust it. He had studied Hitler for years, predicted his patterns, and understood the psychology of a cornered enemy. Weeks before the offensive, Patton warned that the Germans were preparing something massive. His staff doubted him. Other generals dismissed the idea entirely. But Patton prepared anyway. He quietly ordered his intelligence officers to track unusual German movements. He reorganized supply depots. He drafted emergency plans. And he pushed his troops harder than ever. Because he believed winter would be the moment. Hitler tried to turn the war around. When the attack finally came, the shockwave stunned even the most experienced units. The German push tore open a massive pocket in the Allied front. What newspapers would soon call the Battle of the Bulge. American outposts were overrun. Villages fell within minutes. Thousands of U.S. soldiers were captured. The weather grounded Allied aircraft, giving the Germans complete freedom to strike. In Paris, Allied headquarters plunged into chaos. Maps showed the German Bulge expanding every hour. Commanders disagreed on how to respond. Some believed it was a small raid. Others feared a total breakthrough. But Patton did not hesitate. At a strategy meeting on December 19th, with Eisenhower and the top Allied brass gathered around a large operational map, chaos filled the room. Reports of destroyed units, lost towns, and encircled troops poured in. No one knew how to react. Some suggested retreat. Others suggested waiting for better weather. Then Eisenhower turned to Patton and asked, "George, how soon can you attack the Germans?" The room fell silent. Patton didn't pause, didn't think, didn't blink. He simply said, "I can attack with 2 divisions in 48 hours. Several generals scoffed. They thought he was joking, or insane. No army in history had ever repositioned that fast in winter. Not with snow-choked roads, not with fuel shortages, not with German armor pushing forward. But Patton wasn't bluffing. While others doubted the threat, he had already told his staff to create contingency plans for a massive pivot north, plans for exactly this situation. His officers had drafted 3 separate options. And the moment Eisenhower asked the question, Patton already knew which one he would choose. Within the hour, Patton's Third Army began one of the most extraordinary maneuvers in military history. Hundreds of thousands of men, tanks, trucks, artillery pieces, engineers, ambulances, fuel convoys, an entire army pivoted 90 degrees and marched through snow, ice and blistering winds. It was a logistical miracle. Roads that looked impossible to traverse were cleared by engineers working day and night. Frozen engines were jump-started using fires made from rifle stocks. Men marched through blizzards with frozen rations, their uniforms stiff with ice. But they moved, and they moved fast. Patton himself drove at the front of his columns, shouting orders, urging men forward, radiating the unstoppable energy he was famous for. Soldiers later said they would follow him anywhere, not because he demanded it, but because he made them believe the impossible was achievable. Meanwhile, at Bastogne, the 101st Airborne Division was surrounded, cut off, ammunition low, supplies dwindling. German tanks tightened their grip around the town like a noose. When the Germans demanded their surrender, General McAuliffe sent back the legendary one-word reply, "Nuts!" But bravery alone couldn't break the encirclement. They needed relief, fast, and Patton was the only man who could reach them. While the blizzard raged across the Ardennes, Patton's columns fought tooth and nail against German roadblocks and ambushes. Tanks skidded on ice. Trucks overturned into ditches. Soldiers marched with frozen hands on their rifles. But they pushed forward mile by mile, village by village. Then, as if destiny intervened, the skies finally cleared. American aircraft roared into action. Bombers pounded German armor. Fighters strafed supply convoys. Paratroopers in Bastogne cheered as the first Allied planes broke through the clouds. On December 26th, The lead elements of Patton's 4th Armored Division smashed into the southern edge of Bastogne, breaking the German ring around the 101st, exhausted. Paratroopers hugged tank crews. Some cried, some laughed, but all of them knew one thing. Patton had come through. Hitler's grand gamble collapsed. The German offensive stalled, and within weeks the bulge on the map shrank back to where it came from. Patton didn't just stop the German advance. He reversed it, crushed it, and delivered the victory that ensured the Allies would march into Germany in 1945. Military historians still call it one of the greatest displays of leadership, speed and operational brilliance in the entire war, because when the world needed the impossible, Patton made it happen. This is how one American general turned a near defeat into one of the most decisive victories of World War II and shattered Hitler's last hope.